And we're now live, but not really because we're recording. So I got my good friend with me, Jerry, and we're going to be talking about Sasquatch. I'm Ethan. Welcome to Bonus Damage. So, Jerry, I got a few notes with me. Tell me right now, what do you know about Sasquatch? Also known as Bigfoot. Some people say it's the Wendigo. There's other names for it that I can't think of right now because I've had an entire bottle of wine. So what do you know about Sasquatch / Bigfoot?
Dude, I don't know shit about Sasquatch, but the Wendigo is pretty fucking interesting.
Yeah, apparently a lot of ancient Native American beliefs go back to the point where it was the Wendigo in it. Not all of them. There's a lot of Native American beliefs where they talk about big, hairy fellas just coming in and acting like the boogeyman, really. Because I did some research, I looked into it. Most of it sounds like the boogeyman story. It's something you tell your kids so they don't get up in the middle of the night and go looking around to have fun. So that's what I
I
found.
thought the Wendigo's like somewhat of a cannibal, right?
Yes, the window. Okay, so the origin of the Wendigo, which some people do say is Bigfoot, the origin of Wendigo mainly resides in Canada, and this is literally just stuff I know because I'm an X-Men fan, and the Wendigo is a rival of the Hulk and Wolverine. So
I've
the
heard that.
Wendigo is the urban legend, you could say, if you're from around here, that if you're lost in the wilderness and you succumb to your hunger and you eat like a fellow friend or comrade, whatever you want to say, I guess back in the time it would have been your whatever Native American family member was with
Yeah,
you.
if you resort to cannibalism.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
resort to cannibalism because you're so hungry, you'll be possessed by the spirit and you will literally transform into this monster of an ape-looking creature that literally just feeds off the flesh of humans. And that's the story of the Wendigo. Usually he's I can't even talk. He's pictured as white furred, ape like creature, sometimes with a tail, sometimes with big red eyes, all sorts of different descriptions for him. But mostly it's still humanoid looking. So that's the Wendigo.
Dude, completely unrelated to Sasquatch, but in the same realm of Wendigo,
Yeah.
there is in Stephen King's novel Pet Cemetery.
Okay.
You have to, I highly recommend it because it's one of the shorter novels.
Okay, so you're
And
actually talking about the novels, not so much the first movie or the remake that just came out.
I still haven't seen the remake.
Either have I. Actually, to
Unfortunately.
be honest, I barely remember the original movie.
Huh. Well,
I mean,
I
I
would
get the
say it's
concept.
definitely
Bury
it's definitely
something
worth
you
a read.
love that died in this graveyard and it'll come back to life, but not how you think it will come back.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
zombie
weird because
graveyard. You bury it here in this graveyard, it'll come back as a zombie.
oh man, but the thing is, the cool thing about the book is what doesn't show in the movies is that to get to that cemetery, right? You have to go through like imagine walking like 10 miles through swamp and up and over, like down and under, like the whole experience of the Hobbit. You know, this guy, these people have to face, right? Somehow or another, this dude dragged an entire bull to that graveyard in the book.
You
Like,
say a bull?
carrying, yes, a bull. Like in the movies, it shows like, yeah, a dude brings a cat or he brings a kid. You know, bring your kids, bring your wife. It's whatever. But
Bring your kids, bring your wife. There's motherfuckers out here looking for you.
yeah, it's the whole family fun experience. But
The
something
Stephen King
invigorates the
playground.
graveyard. Yeah, the graveyard actually invigorates the person and like instills like thoughts into them and makes them drag like whatever may be and empowers them with superhuman strength, right? To get there because the spirits are, I guess, gets wild, right?
Okay, so if you're already dragging something dead in a sense, the spirits are gonna help you like get it there.
Yeah, and they'll actually, while you're not even thinking about dragging anything there, it's putting little whispers into your mind of like, yeah, what it'll, you know how it is. Maybe you've, gotten with a girl or a special friend that you really don't want to or haven't really thought of, but somehow your mind twists and turns and worms its way into, it's human nature, right?
Yeah.
That is Pet Cemetery.
Okay.
It'll work its way into your mind to force you to but bringing up Wendigo, that's the thing. Like, going through the fog, apparently, this giant monstrosity of a thing walks around you in the fog, right? Like, it's the way Stephen King depicts the whole scene. You're out there in the woods. The only way you can see is like little fireflies, a little glow, a mystical glow lighting the trail. If you step on
I mean, I'm not gonna lie,
trail,
that sounds beautiful right there. That sounds so enchanting. Like, I sound already at peace just hearing you talk about it. Nice little fog, little sparkling lights. Ooh, yeah, I'd take anything dead that way.
Yeah, right. Anything dead. That's the thing, though. Like, if one step off the trail and you could be lost or in the muck and quicksand, it's so.
Fucking quicksand, the one thing I've been paranoid about my entire life but never ran into.
Yeah. But it would be Stephen King that brings it up.
And all of a sudden, quicksand.
Yeah, I mean, but he brings up the Wendigo essentially, or he names it the Wendigo, and it's some monstrosity of a beast that like breaks down trees, and like people, whenever they get near it, they just know like, oh, death is past me, right? Like,
Okay.
and they're scared shitless. But I'm not saying that I have a hard on for Stephen King because he can't end a novel for shit, but it's certainly
can't end a novel for shit.
Fans, yeah, for all fans of the Wendigo out there, I give Pet Cemetery a try.
Okay. I mean, granted, actually, now you bring that up, I don't think there's many stories on the Wendigo. I remember a long time ago, I tried watching this movie about it, but they really never got into the actual beast part of it, which was what I was kind of wanting. And then other, I can't even talk right now. My dyslexic's kicking in. My illiterateness. How do you say that word? Depictions of the Wendigo. It's always been in like X-Men or a crappy movie like I saw called The Wendigo, where it was just a bunch of dead deer showing up. Most of the good stories come from like the old tales from like what people say they saw. There's no actual like there's movies like The Mothman and stuff, but there's no real good movies I know about like the Wendigo.
Yeah, you're right. I can't really think of any sort of movie with the Wendigo. Dude, wait. The Wendigo movie, did it have a bunch of chicks in it?
I remember kids. It's been a long time. Like, it's been at least almost 8 to 10 years since I've tried watching that movie. But I remember a kid and I remember dead deer.
Huh.
Now, the dead deer is kind of important.
Happened, right?
I'm not gonna lie. Apparently some people talk about Bigfoot killing actual mammals like deer, elk, and stuff like that. So, like, I can see the deer kind of lining up the Wendigo. But once again, the Wendigo is a demonic spirit trying to eat people. I don't see it eating deer anyway. So that's kind of what lost my interest in that movie.
Well, I don't know if it's been sighted in national parks where Bigfoot's been sighted at. That's more of West Coast, right?
I couldn't hear you. Start bringing up that last point.
Well, I'm not the most leading expert in Bigfoot sightings, but I believe most of that's on the West Coast, correct?
Actually, you're very close. It's definitely more west, I feel, but it's more northern. Actually, it's like almost the border between America and Canada, where like the most Wendigo sightings are found. You'll never hear about it in the south or like apparently too far north. I mean, you'll hear about it in like other nations, like in the Himalayas and stuff, where they call it the Yeti and everything. But for the most part, yeah, you're kind of right. It's more in the west, like actual Washington, Ohio, but more north as well, like between the borders, but mostly in Canada and Upper America for Bigfoot sightings, because apparently that's where like the most woodsy area left it is, just in general. Like that's where there's such little human civilization that apparently that's where these creatures live, if you say. Which, real quick, since we're on that topic about talking about their existence, I don't believe in Bigfoot. Just simply because I said this to Ian earlier, but like, we have found cavemen that are old as hell, but we can't find a single Bigfoot body? Like, what's up with that?
Okay, not to get the conspiracy theorists going or anything.
Uh-huh. What do you got, Jerry? What do you got? Whisper in my ears. What do you got?
So, the conspiracies go, apparently, supposedly. Now, I kind of put some faith behind this.
Okay. Okay, real quick, Jerry. What is your before you get too deep? What's your stance on Bigfoot? I told you mine. I really don't believe in it unless it is some weird dimensional being we don't know that can travel through our dimension. But other than that, I just can't believe in it.
Okay. Well, I have to. Nothing's ever yes or no, right? Like.
You're right. Like, we didn't create the universe, so we can't tell the audience or the world whether unicorns exist or not because we didn't create it.
First, I would have to recommend people towards rock apes of, I believe it's Vietnam.
Okay.
Yeah, there's the rock apes of Vietnam.
The rock ape. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
the rock ape?
Rock ape.
Okay.
The rock ape of Vietnam.
Now that's correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not know. I can't even tell you where the states are, to be honest. Like in America, but isn't Vietnam a little bit south of the Asia region? Right. Okay.
We are humble folk.
We'll just say yes for the sake of conversation.
It's definitely in Asia. I do
yes.
believe.
Yes.
What we're here to bring conspiracy facts, right? Not geography. No, for real. Geography's never been a strong suit.
Yeah, geography is its own subject. We would have to get a professional on here to correct us when we're wrong. Dude, real quick, I was looking at a map the other day, and you wouldn't believe how close Texas is to Tennessee.
Really?
Yes, it's literally a state away if you travel the right direction.
Damn, dude. I know it's 13 hours away from where I'm at currently.
But think about it, from where I'm at, not to dox myself, but Florida's about 13 to 12 hours away. So, like, Texas being a state away from Tennessee kind of blew my mind, because I'm like, what the fuck's in between Texas and California then? Because I thought Texas touched California. Turns out, fucking, like, Arizona or some shit.
I've heard Arizona's a lovely place.
Yeah, actually, I have too. I mean, yeah, it's hot there, but I hear it's decent.
Well,
That's something else too. Is
that's what they always say. They always say it's dry.
Dry heat. There's a complete difference between dry heat and humidity. That's for fucking sure. Cause like in dry heat, yeah, you could just die from exposure, but like in humidity, you'll get jungle rot before you die, and your skin's gonna fall off.
Sweet home Alabama.
Real quick, fun fact, that's actually where the term commando comes from. Because actual commandos would literally not wear underwear in the jungle to avoid jungle rot in their groin region.
Shit.
Yeah, because they
Really?
get too sweaty, too humid, and like their skin would become like mush. That's jungle rot. Is like your skin becomes too mushy to like sustain itself just about. Don't
Maybe
quote
that's
me.
why we
I'm not a
haven't seen
doctor.
Sasquatch in a while. Maybe he's just, with all that going commando, he's just
Well, keep in
trying to
mind, he
preserve
lives in
it.
the north. He's not facing humidity. He's facing the harsh cold.
Oh.
And that brings
With
me
all
to the
that
idea,
hair.
like, where the fuck does he sleep then? Where the fuck is Sasquatch or Bigfoot if he's up in the cold? Like, is he in caves? He's not sleeping in trees.
Feel you.
Like, ugh, I
But
have such disbelief in Bigfoot. It's not even funny because like I can't watch anything documentary related to Bigfoot without laughing, to be honest. And that's coming from someone that believes in like the possibility of demons and the possibility of extraterrestrial life and even interdimensional life, you know? But like the one thing I can't wrap my head around is Bigfoot. And that's just because we've been here so long on the earth, we haven't found anything about it.
well, we keep destroying his home, right? Maybe he just keeps receding. He just keeps like, he's got a sharp head on his shoulders. He's like,
Okay, so their head is so sharp, right, that they dig up their relatives from whatever they are and take them to their new home? Like there has to be a Bigfoot body somewhere.
okay.
And not just a weird ancient great ape. I'm talking like, oh, this body's only 20 to 50 years old and it's an ape in America.
He's the last of his kind, man.
The last of his kind. Well, see, that's funny because
sad.
real quick, I gotta bring out my notes. I was watching a documentary on Discovering Bigfoot by Todd Standing, right? And he goes in the woods and he's out there by himself in the beginning of this, and he runs into 3 Sasquatch.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm all like, whatever, dude. Like, there's even a scene where like they throw a log at him, but I guarantee you, if Bigfoot threw a 70 to 80 pound log at you, you wouldn't live to tell the tale. We're talking about an 8-foot being that weighs way more than an average human. I couldn't even tell you what, 500 to 800 pounds just because he's 8 foot tall. And he throws a log at you. You're not going to get up from that.
That's the cool theory about the rock apes of Vietnam, dude. Like, there's somewhat actual reports.
Oh, yeah, we kind of trailed off from that. The rock ape from Vietnam.
Well, supposedly, like, even the people living there said, yeah, they're fucking gorilla people living in the mountains, right?
Yeah.
When we get there, as the strong United States citizens, we're just like, but,
America ain't no such thing as an ape in mountains.
We're here to mow shit down with our machine guns.
Napalm!
But supposedly, how the stories go, yes, literally, like, people would run into these like villages of, like, not villages, I should say, but they would encounter an enemy, right? They would encounter an enemy up on, like, mountain slopes that would throw just big old fucking rocks down. And yeah, they got guns that our people do, right?
Yeah.
As Americans, they had, they're shooting back or whatever, but they were just like ape-man like people, furry and hairy, just throwing rocks down. And people would get injured, this and that. And supposedly it finally started to get documented because that sort of thing can only go on for so long.
Right.
When it's not necessarily a joke and people are like, hey man, like, look, I know it sounds silly, but this is what happened. Right? Like, it could just be some YouTube
You know, typical boogeyman story, typical urban legends, just to get your adrenaline pumping for a good story.
Right, but I think it gained enough traction. I've heard about it from different, I don't want to say sources, because who the fucking rely on sources, quote unquote sources, you know, nowadays. But that's just in the grapevine, right? Like,
Right.
It's something that it's certainly a conspiracy theory to look into and, you know, enjoy. You don't want to dig too deep in the rabbit hole.
Right,
You just want to just, okay. You know, you taste it. You just taste it, and you say, okay, that's cool. That's interesting.
Yeah. You don't take it to heart or anything. Now, real quick, because you are talking about overseas, I do believe there is a possibility of an ape-like figure living in mountains. So it's pretty funny you talk about the mountain ape. Oh, I can't talk. So it's funny that you talk about the mountain ape, because I do remember hearing documentaries about, like, they found like a big tooth that didn't belong to any ape species at the time or humanoid, right? So they're like, where did this tooth come from? How did you come to acquire it? So I can kind of believe, in the Himalaya-like area, that there could be a bigger ape species we haven't discovered yet. Maybe it's very elusive. Maybe it's even endangered. Maybe it's a dying out species because it's not up to date with everything else around it. But at the same time, for a big species to live like that, it would have to eat a lot. And I know there's not a whole lot of vegetation or anything in the Himalayan areas for that fact. But I can still kind of believe it because they have found like some evidence of like a big ape in that area. But when it comes to America, I just can't believe that there's an ape living around here somewhere.
Yeah, it certainly does. You have to have a lot of faith, right?
But see, then faith turns into,
The foot is real.
if you have, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with being open-minded, but if you truly believe in Bigfoot and you go in the woods, well, fucking A, if you see a bear standing up, you're gonna think it's Bigfoot. I was on YouTube today getting ready for this podcast, and I saw people going, I saw a baby Bigfoot, and it's literally a bear walking in the woods. I could tell from the shitty camera quality it was a bear. I'm a little bit of a hunter myself.
Yeah, isn't it great that usually, it's always potato quality?
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. Maybe, wasn't it, who was it? Was it Mitch Hedberg? I could be completely wrong, but he had a joke going, hey, maybe Bigfoot isn't an ape. Maybe he's just a blurry fucking guy.
Yeah, I can't, it may have been Mitch Hedberg.
It may have been, I can't recall. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments if I ever post this. Or if it ever fucking records, I can't tell off the system. I hope we're recording. But, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Mitch Hedberg had that joke about maybe Bigfoot's just a blurry guy. And if anything, that's more terrifying to me. Just a blurry figure walking in the woods.
Yeah. Oh man, Mitch Hedberg though.
Oh, he's hilarious. Oh man, he is so funny. Oh my god. So speaking of jokes and Bigfoot, so I tried getting Ian on the podcast tonight, right?
Right.
And so I reach out to him. I go, hey Ian, what do you know about Bigfoot? And guess what this motherfucker replies back to me?
Uh-oh.
He lives at, and he literally sends my own address to me. This is where Bigfoot lives, and it's my own fucking address. This motherfucker. I wish I was 8 feet tall.
That doesn't sound like Ian at all. He's turning into like the fucking comedian then.
Yeah, Ian's become real funny in the past, I don't know, whenever, few years. I guess adulthood's done him well. By the way, you know, like, no one knows what Ian looks like. Obviously, if you're listening to the podcast, you know what Ian must look like. But Ian has a little bit of a baby face to him. He can't grow facial hair. And he just looks like he's just graduated high school, even 10 years after he did. The other day I saw him at where he works, and he actually had a few gray hairs. Yeah, Ian is showing signs of aging. Jerry, I know this is good news. This is interesting news for you. Maybe not so much for our audience. But we have a friend who is such a baby face that now finally entering the age of almost 30, he finally is starting to show signs of gray hair. Yeah, so that's funny. But yeah, motherfucker called me Bigfoot. The only part he got right was talking about how hairy I was.
And this guy can't even grow, like, he can't grow shit on his face.
He can't grow anything on his face. He has legit baby face. And Ian, if you're listening to this, I love you. This isn't a dog on you. I fucking love you, dude. But for real, you can't grow hair. So the fact that you're actually growing gray hair is like, wow, you're actually aging, motherfucker. About time. The rest of us have like receding hairlines and you're just fucking 18 forever.
Yeah, if only. If only. That's a fair trade, dude. I would keep the top of my hair, my head hair, in a heartbeat.
Well, real quick, for anyone that's listening, I do blame any male testosterone lacking of on the government. I do believe on. I don't truly believe this, but it's a conspiracy theory. I kind of have a little interest in the idea that the government is suppressing humankind just to have more control, and part of that would be controlling the man's testosterone level nationwide.
But on the same page, how would you explain women developing so much early?
Steroids in all our food. Steroids in all of our meat from like cows and chicken. Cause I'm not gonna get into detail, but I do believe in that.
Yeah. Hormones and steroids.
Hormones and steroids. I definitely believe that's messing with our genetics, and that's why women are getting extra estrogen and men are becoming even less testosterone. So like there's people talk about testosterone being negative and even toxic, but realistically testosterone's at an all-time low. If you ask me, it's never been lower in mankind than it is now.
That might explain all the neck beard.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. How many motherfuckers do you know that have a beard and no hair?
Like personally or off of Facebook?
Off Facebook, off the internet, off anything you know. Like, I'm glad to be almost 30 and have a full head of hair. Thank God. Like, literally, that is my only goal. I just want to get through my 20s with hair. If I lose my hair after that, whatever. Excuse me, I'm burping. But whatever. If I lose my hair now, that's fine. I'm just happy I got through my 20s with it.
Man, I haven't used my 20s efficiently, like I'm starting to lose my hair already, and now I'm finally getting to the point where I'm like actually like, using my youth, I guess, in a way, and dude, yeah, I can't. The only thing I can really grow is like a mustache and like a little bit on my chin. But I'm getting the receding hairline, bro.
Yeah, me too, dude. Like, trust me, I already had a widow's peak, you know that, but I'm starting to go full fucking Vegeta.
Yeah, I feel you. Vegeta is not the role model I need right now in my life.
No, okay, so like, I started freaking about my hair falling out about like when I was 25, because that's when I really did start having some hair loss, which thankfully I still have a full head of hair. But when I was 25, I started losing a lot of hair, and I didn't know what was going on. I started freaking out, so I started looking at role models, and the best role model I found for not having hair was Jason Statham and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Like, some real badass motherfuckers with no hair. Oh, and Bruce Willis. How about that?
I don't know if I can speak with those dudes. I don't have that kind of head.
Right? I remember shaving my head in high school for ROTC because I was like the thing to do, and everyone made fun of my head. They called the back of my head a fucking butt. And man, there is a slight insecurity of being fully bald.
At least you can grow a beard, dude.
You're right.
That's all that matters.
Which, real quick, you remember, I know we're so far off the topic of Bigfoot, just hang with us, everyone. But you know the topic about we used to have about, like, the more beard you can grow, the more hair you're going to lose on top of your head?
Yeah.
I don't believe that so much now, simply because I can grow a decent beard. I mean, not full lusciousness, but I can grow a fucking mean mustache and a nice goatee patch, if you will. But, my sideburns don't come in too hard on my cheeks and everything. But overall, I grow a nice beard, and my hair loss isn't anything like I thought it would be for someone that could grow a beard like mine. I really thought being 30, I'd practically be bald by now. But, like, I can wave my hair back and forth right now.
I don't know if it's like an equivalent exchange thing, though.
Yeah, I don't think it is either.
I think some people, it might hit them harder. Like, let's look at our friend, like, Jordan or Nick.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy how many of our friends straight went bald at age of, like, mid-20s to early 20s. Like, it's just wild that,
Ollie hit it at, like, 19 or so.
Yeah, dude, don't get me wrong. Like, as much drama and turmoil as me and Ollie have in the past, I still love him. He's a cool dude. And a part of me, like, I don't pity him. I don't pity anyone. That's just not how I roll. But a part of me, in a way, does, like, feel a bit sad for him that he had to go through that, you know? I can't imagine the shit you go through being so young and losing your hair, you know? That has to take a lot of your confidence and really build some insecurities.
Well, if there's one thing about Ollie, he certainly doesn't get dragged down by that.
Fuck yeah, no, he's a real player. Ollie, if you're listening to this, I think you're a real player, dude. You got it going for you, man. No hair or not, you got fucking going for you.
Yeah, we all wish we could have a little bit of Ollie inside of us, right? Like,
What are you talking about? I got plenty of swag on my shoulders. But no, if you lose your hair at fucking 19 and you can still pick up chicks, you're a real fucking baller. How about that? So Ollie, that's a shout out to you, man.
it helps being of a different ethnicity and, being built for it. And, if my white ass lost all my precious curly ginger locks
Yeah.
tomorrow, it wouldn't work out. I'd be done. That's it. Game over, man.
Yeah, you think so?
I think so, yeah. It doesn't matter that I'm, like, 6'1". It doesn't matter that I can...
Shit, are you really 6'1"?
Yeah, I'm 6'1".
Fuck, you are tall, dude. You're almost Sasquatch.
No, Nick is almost Sasquatch.
Who?
He's our Sasquatch. Nick.
Oh, Nick Nesbitt. But here's the thing. He's also a friend of ours that really lost his hair at a young age.
He is. He is.
Like, I remember, like, being seniors in high school, like, fucking with him in his front yard, and, like, he was bald.
Yeah.
But
Oh.
once again, though, like, government, if you're listening to me, I blame you for the loss of hair in America. That's on you. You're not cleaning our water. You're not making sure there's not too many crazy hormones going on in our food. I blame our diet in America for hair loss.
I need to stop eating American food.
Basically, because, I'm not gonna lie, I mean, I watch a lot of videos, so pardon me for not being super cultured for exploring the world physically, but it seems like other cultures really have more hair than Americans.
I don't know. Have you ever seen, like, Japanese porn?
Did you say Japanese porn?
Maybe.
I think they're trying to they're trying to fit a specific category when they do that. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are balding men in Japan, but like they still have hair. I feel like the men from Japan that live in America have more hair loss than men in Japan that live in Japan.
That could be true. We could do studies, man. Hit up Lee and see how that Chinese dude's doing.
I mean, at the same time, look at I just feel like baldness. God, we're not even talking about Bigfoot now. We're gonna wrap this baldness up. But I feel like the baldness relates to just America. Don't get me wrong, people are going bald everywhere. But I feel like mainly in American diets, you're gonna go bald. Maybe that's just my opinion.
Well, it could be like cultural too, you know, like look at all the stress. I'm sure.
Ooh, yeah, you're absolutely right. Stress definitely plays a factor.
Everywhere. Yeah, there's stress everywhere in this world. That's
And don't
how the world
and
works.
did I ever tell you about my friend Frank from Congo?
No.
Okay, so I got this weird warehouse job forever ago after me and my ex Trish broke up, right? And so I moved out. I got this job. Hang on. Excuse me. So I got this job and I started working really closely with this man named Frank. And the more I got to know him, the more obviously I got to know him. I found he was from Congo, Africa. I hope that's correct. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's from Congo. And he straight told me how crazy American life is. And this is coming from a man that lived in all sorts of places. He lived in Britain, he lived in France, other parts of England after leaving Africa. And when he came to America, he straight told me he can't believe what it's like here. It's constant work, work, work just to pay your bills. You know? Yeah. And that kind of resonated with me that I don't want a normal job when I get older. I don't want to do a 9 to 5. I just want to talk shit and do whatever I want and get paid for that. I want to get paid for being Ethan, if you will. I just want to be paid for being me. But yeah, when he told me that, it's kind of like I just had a whole new perspective on America and how it operates. It's corporate America, if you will.
Yeah.
Because it's all about making money. It's all about working, and I mean, don't get me wrong. Other cultures know we don't care for overtime, but at the same time, I don't. Maybe I'm just not cultured enough to talk about other cultures and the way they work. But in America, sometimes you work 40 hours a week and you don't have a choice but to work more. And on top of that, when everything's expensive in America, you're constantly broke and you're constantly working. So what are you doing with your life but stressing and degrading your health? No wonder Sasquatch is so fucking hairy living in the woods.
Yeah, he found the better fucking way of living. Apparently.
Right? Hey, Americans, if you could just live in the woods like me, you could have hair all over your body. You have hair everywhere. You could have full, thick hair till the day you die.
Dude, yeah, I remember reading some sort of quote, you know, how everything's quoted by the guy who's fucking llama. He said something along the lines of, or it could have been Buddha. I don't know. Over here in Western culture, we don't know where the spiritual references come from. We just know that it came from somewhere.
Welcome to America. We just know shit. We don't know where it comes from.
Yeah, right? Like, you put
Don't ask me for sources.
Yeah. But it's something about, only the Western man is like, he traces, his longevity for health, for money, and then later years trades the money for health. You know, like it's this weird cycle of, you know, we slave away in our younger days, and we keep on working and working, and we trade off all that this young life and our health to get to a point where we're stable. But at that point, we're already starting to fail because we're starting to break down.
And granted, if you live in America, more likely by the time you get to that point, you have cancer already.
Yeah, I mean, in one shape, form, or fashion.
Yeah,
sure.
right? But yeah, so that's a little. I know exactly what quote you're talking about. We trade our longevity for wealth, but by the time we get old enough to enjoy it, we just can't, you know?
Yeah, basically.
So,
Like
yeah, I think, look, America, if you're listening, let's change our diets. Let's get luscious locks back in our hair.
Let's make fucking Rogaine accessible to the American people.
Right? I bet Rogaine was American-made product too.
Let's make it cheap, people. It doesn't just have to be actors and actresses.
Man, literally the other day I was washing my hair and no joke, in a long I just got done being sick, so my body went through a whole lot of stress. I also was trying to keep up with all my yard work. So like when I took a shower, like I had a lot of hair fall out, but like when I got out of the shower and my hair dried, you couldn't really tell. Like it was just completely fine, just receding hairline. That's all it is. Like I said, going full Vegeta. But like I was so distressed over how much hair fell out that like my girlfriend just couldn't comprehend how upset I was. You know, like she was like, "Ah, you're fine." I'm like, "No, you don't get it. You'll die with a full head of hair." Okay. Like, I love my hair. I love how it feels in the wind. I love shaking it around. I like my hair. So, like, the fact that I'm washing it and it's just coming out in clumps is really stressful.
Yeah, which makes you lose more hair.
Yes, yes. More stress equals more hair loss. And, like, God, that is such a hard circle to get out of.
Always had, you've always had lovely hair.
Oh, thanks, Jerry. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But even my luscious hair and how thick it is, it's still falling out. So that's kind of like I think I told you earlier. I've been drinking a whole lot of water recently. I've just been trying to clean up my diet, and you know, I can only hope it doesn't get worse. So if you're listening to this and you're under the age of 20. Once you hit 30s, you really need to take reins over your life and your diet, because if you don't, your health is going to plummet and you're going to be a sorry sack of shit when you get older.
Well, let's not disturb people too much. We're all sorry sacks of shit.
I mean, that is true, but I'm talking like you could be a sorry sack of shit, or you could be a sorry sack of shit that's also bald with no testosterone.
But we all love each and every one of these people.
Yes, absolutely. Don't get me wrong. But like, you know, like let's talk about Jordan and Nick. They're in Ali. There are friends that we knew that lost their hair at the youngest, right? Like almost right out of high school, like senior year, which granted was about 10 years ago. But even then, like they were losing their hair, and I love them still. Don't get me wrong. I could hang out with them like a day never passed. But yeah, there's just something to it that like it's sad that our diets and the American way of life is causing such health issues, if you will. You agree or disagree, this is my belief, this is my opinion. I do believe it's the American diet, the American everything, the stress diet, it's causing crippling health for America. And God forbid if you live in Flint, Michigan. Sorry, I don't know if everyone else heard you, but you kind of broke up on my end.
Oh, I said thoughts and prayers for...
Thoughts and prayers. American superpower. Thoughts and prayers.
That's right.
Okay.
If anyone's listening from Flint, Michigan, well, Dollar General sells bottled water.
Oh, yeah. No, they're all living off bottled water. They don't need you to tell them that. They know what to fucking do. My problem is that their shit's not fixed. Like, just leave Michigan. Fucking leave Flint, Michigan. Let that place rot. Let the government know what happens when you don't take care of your people.
Yeah, you know, from what I've... it's almost a conspiracy all in something. Apparently what has happened, literally a car manufacturing plant,
Hang on, Jerry. You're breaking up really bad right now, so no one can hear you.
Good.
You sound a little better now.
What about now?
Yes.
Yeah, the conspiracy behind that, from what I've heard, is that the car manufacturing plant gave bribes to the mayor of the town and essentially ran water straight
So in a
Yeah,
sense, it
and
went through the
apparently
CarMax Ring plant before it went through the like everyone else in town.
something along those lines. I can't get too technical into it because it's been a while since I've read it. But essentially, what had happened, some pipes rusted, and now the car place doesn't want to pay. Clearly, the town doesn't want to pay. Well, not the town,
Ooh.
not the people, but the big figureheads on top.
Well, you know what,
Don't
Jerry?
wanna pay.
I'm kind of glad you brought that up because I'm not gonna dox myself. So don't say where I live. But our current town, we have a very big car company here as well. So in a way, I'm very glad I don't drink our tap water.
Yeah, there you go. You never know when your water might come out rusty and nasty and like turning purple or whatever. Have you heard about that? I don't know if it's Flint, Michigan, but apparently somewhere in this on the United States soil, water came out looking purple, dude.
Dude, I got something better for you. I want to say, there's a lot of coal mining going on in the east of America right now.
Yeah.
I was listening to Joe Rogan and Reggie Watts last night. Fun shout out, though they're bigger than me. I was listening to Joe Rogan last night talking to Reggie Watts, and they talked about where the coal mining going on is, the water is so polluted you can fucking set that shit on fire.
Damn.
You can set water on fire.
That's stronger than my fucking moonshine right
That's
now.
stronger than my moonshine. Damn, I'm drinking the wrong stuff.
Yeah, right.
Like, clearly there's an issue in America where we put money before health, and that's an issue just can't even fathom right now.
Yeah.
No wonder Bigfoot's in hiding so much. We're fucking up everything.
Yeah, he's doing a great fucking work. He is. He needs
Right.
to start sending out the site.
Okay, let's get back on the topic of Bigfoot, because we strayed off so hard that everyone's going to click on this thinking they're going to listen to Bigfoot, and it's going to be hair loss. So if you're still listening, thank you for staying with us. But so back to Bigfoot living in America. I just can't believe it. There's a lot of people out there that do, and I just can't. And what's his name? Todd Standing. I don't think you're ever gonna listen to this, but if you do, I'm sorry. I don't believe you. I don't believe that you ran a Bigfoot or Sasquatch out there, just simply because your video evidence wasn't good enough. But I just don't. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some weird stories out there about people, but once again, I think it just comes down to the boogeyman stories. Stories that are passed down to keep people inside so they don't go straying around at night. Stories just to keep people in line. Actually, I got on my phone somewhere, Jerry, like a list of Bigfoot attacks, and it's not very long, if I'm being honest.
Really now?
Yeah.
You're telling me that the Bigfoot living in corporate America doesn't attack people?
Does
At all?
not. I mean, it does. Maybe it's more of a peaceful creature I'm giving it credit for, but realistically, it doesn't have culture like Americans or any other culture out there. It lives in the woods and it shits all over itself. That's why it smells bad, okay? So it doesn't have culture. In my opinion, it doesn't have super sentient intelligence, okay?
It must be Canadian.
It's Canadian, that's why. Oh, man. Man, oh, shoot. My PlayStation is about to cut off. There it is. I couldn't find my remote. So, Bigfoot living in America. Todd Standing. I know you had a great video. It was fun to watch, discovering Bigfoot. But I just don't believe it. I also don't believe the people that are on the History Channel finding Bigfoot. Almost the same fucking thing. I just can't believe in Bigfoot. I think people are seeing things and they're making excuses. Don't get me wrong, I'm more than willing to be corrected. If Bigfoot showed up tomorrow running for mayor, fucking A, I'm wrong, and I'm okay with that. Jesus. But,
I'd vote for him.
yeah, I'd vote for him. fucking Bigfoot, he'd win hands down if he came out going, "I'm real, and I'm running for your town's election. You got my vote." But no, I just don't believe in Bigfoot. I can wrap my head around a lot of things, but Bigfoot's not one of them. Unless, I mean, don't get me wrong, I do believe in multi-dimension. I believe that the universe is so big, there's even more further beyond it. So I do believe in alternate dimensions, multiverse, if you will. So maybe there is a slight possibility that there's a fourth dimensional creature that can cross into our realm and do whatever it wants. But even if it can, it's fucking dumb to think that, because it's still living in the woods, shitting all over itself, throwing sticks and stones. So yeah, I don't believe in Bigfoot.
Maybe that's just how he views our world, right? Like, some of his world, and they're, like, killing people with thought. And it's like, you know, like, maybe they hype the our world, and they're like, okay, Jeff, well, this weekend I'm doing the human experience, right? And that's what they call, like, an arcade store.
No, I get you. I actually, you know what? That makes more sense to me now, thinking about that. So I'm glad I got you on here to talk about this. The idea that maybe they are super intelligent in another dimension, but once they get here, they're truly just trying to experience our material world. Excuse me.
And yeah, and so they sort of, like, stick the shit at us, because that's how they view it.
Oh man, so talking about this Discovering Bigfoot documentary on Netflix, I was watching it, right? And this guy, the Todd Standing, I'm not trying to insult you, but man, I just can't believe anything that comes out your mouth. Like, there's a scene where, like, they're walking through the woods and there's a bunch of broken trees, right? And then we're talking small trees. Like, you can almost wrap half your hand around, not half, your whole hand around half of the tree, okay? So they're pretty small trees. You can almost fully grip a tree as an average man, even my size. Which is kind of, you know, I'm average. I'm 5'8", weigh 165 pounds. Maybe that's a little small, but, like, even my hand could fully almost wrap around one of these trees. But a bunch of them fell in this forest, right? And he's talking about, oh, look at this masterpiece. It's so wonderful. Like, I wonder why they created it, right? And it looks like a teepee, but made of trees. Not a lot. Maybe 6 trees fell together to make a teepee around, like, a living tree. I'm looking at it like, okay, that's a little odd. Did he do this himself? And then, like, the camera zooms out, and there's fucking trees falling down everywhere. Like, there's so many trees that have fallen. I'm not surprised that a few fell and caught each other. But he's such a believer that he thinks Bigfoot made it, you know? I don't even think he's a believer. To be honest, I think he's trolling. Todd Standing, I think you're a troller. I think you're trolling to make everyone else believe in Bigfoot, because you look like a UFO conspiracy theorist that decided to wear camo and go in the woods.
I hate to distract from this.
No, go ahead.
But I do thoroughly enjoy watching Captain G's.
Captain D, shout out. If you want to sponsor us, go ahead. We're not verified on anything, but you can sponsor us.
Yeah, right. Captain G. Look, I've been a follower of your show for only, like, you know, since the fucking beginning. And
by the way, Jerry, this is my first podcast, so I'm very glad you agreed to join me tonight.
Oh, yeah, you know, like, what is there to do at 11 o'clock on a night, loaded up with food?
Yeah, what else is there to do?
I mean, when someone wants to talk about Bigfoot, you gotta talk about fucking Bigfoot.
And Captain D's, apparently. So, is that what you're eating right now, Captain D's?
No, I'm eating Blackers because I don't have anything else, dude. I got so fucked. I am drunker than a skunk. If Bigfoot came across me right now, man, I couldn't do anything but just...
Well, you live in the South, so if you were to encounter anything, it's more likely going to be the chupacabra.
Oh, shit, you're right.
Yeah, you're not going to find Bigfoot down there. But yeah, Bigfoot. I got a fun story that I haven't fully been able to tell you yet, Jerry. So let me tell you about Teddy Roosevelt and his Bigfoot story.
Oh, okay.
So, Teddy Roosevelt himself did not actually see Bigfoot, but he was acquaintance with someone that did. It's in the book. Let me get my notes. The Wilderness Hunter. Okay, it came out in 1923, and this is before Teddy Roosevelt was actually a president. So whether you're a fan of him or not, this is just a fun story. But this guy, I can't remember his name, but you can read the book. You can find out the Wilderness Hunter. He goes out hunting with a friend of his, right? And they're out in the woods, and the typical Bigfoot stories. You hear things in the night. You hear craziness going on. So you're like, whatever. So that happens to them one night, and they're like, okay, whatever. And I think, if I remember correctly, I read this earlier today, but when that was happening, they actually took shots at whatever that was, right? They couldn't see it, but they fired their guns at whatever this creature was in the night. Okay?
Right.
I'm getting the story wrong. Hang on. So what happened was they went hunting, came back, and their camp was destroyed, okay? Everything was destroyed. So they fixed it up, and then that incident started happening where they heard something and they started firing at whatever they thought was in the woods. Okay? Give me 1 second. So, they fire at whoever's in the woods, and then they carry about their business once it just stops. So, once daybreak happens, they go back out hunting and everything, and they come back to their tent. Once again, all their stuff is just destroyed, right? And that same night, it happened again. Something came to their camp, but wouldn't get close enough to their fire, and it was just causing a ruckus, and they tried fighting it back the best they could. Where they didn't actually get in combat with it. They were just, in my opinion, scared men shooting in the dark.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah, right. But this is where it gets crazy. There were no actual, from what they say in the book, if I recall correctly, there was no actual, footprints. It was something bipedal, so that means it stood on two legs. And, that kind of weirded them out. So that day, I want to say it was the second or third day, I can't remember. I didn't read the book. Cliff notes. But, the main guy in the book was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to go out, pick up our traps. Sorry, I just can't stop coughing right now. Ugh. Don't smoke cigarettes if you do. Just don't do it. So, they go out.
Smoke weed instead.
Yeah, right. I'm not condoning that, but it's definitely healthier in my opinion. But, so the main guy goes out, he gathers all the traps and everything, and when he comes back to the campsite, his friend's fucking dead. Okay? He said his friend was just destroyed. It looked like something even bit the back of his neck. The entire camp was destroyed, and he just basically hauled his ass out of there. Okay? And that's the story that comes from Teddy Roosevelt. So he himself was a hunter, a man of the wild, if you will, before he was a president. And that's kind of like his slight Bigfoot story. But even then, before the term Bigfoot was made, they called it a goblin.
Huh.
Yeah.
And this is hold on. For confirmation, this is from the perspective and written by Teddy Roosevelt.
Okay, I don't know too sure. I wish I would have read this book before we started this podcast, but that would have taken me an eternity because I'm illiterate. But that's something he quoted. This is a story that came from him that was passed down to him from his friend. He knew a guy, and this guy said this is what he went through.
Huh.
Yeah. So before the term Bigfoot was even made, they called it the goblin in the woods. So that's interesting to think about. That I don't know. maybe there's something out there, but I don't think it's an actual ape with a civilization. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, well, you have to look at let's look at the material at hand, right? Like, let's look at the people back then. Of course, probably weren't bow hunting. Like nowadays, people bow hunt to get an extra like adrenaline rush.
Yeah,
Back
yeah.
then, there
Bow
was
hunting is a
probably
pretty big
still
sport, and I get it. It's a lot of fun. Like you're in there, and it's like the ultimate challenge when you're hunting, Jerry. Like it's the ultimate challenge. I mean, the next best thing, spear hunting.
yeah. If I was to hunt, I would love to hunt. But back then, these people were still not using muskets clearly because that's just no. I'm hold on. Teddy
I mean, I
Roosevelt
want to say
never-
this was in the 1920s, so by this time we were already in World War One, because I want to say World War One started in 1910, 1911. So let me look. I wrote down the date. 1923 is when this book came out, so sometime prior. So it's possible they could have been using muskets. It's possible they could have had actual like firearms, like shotguns, or even revolvers. You know, like, it's the Wild Wild West before it was the 1920s. So they had guns like you would think about.
Yeah, they had real guns, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, like a repeater. You know, they had guns like
Yeah.
that, like actual good firearms.
Yeah, these people had real guns. We had enough experience. This wasn't like the Pilgrims, right? Like they knew what a bear was,
Mm-hmm.
and people still like it's understandable for anyone really get fucked up by a bear
Yeah.
hunting, but still experienced hunters would say, yeah, it's a fucking bear. You know?
Yes, you're right. And
Well,
and
and
the man
I
that
feel
was
like-
involved was a real hunter, like a
Yeah.
real mountain man, if I'm correct. So for him to be like, "Oh, this was not anything I've ever known," is a little alarming for it actually to go down as like a bipedal goblin, if you will, in the
Yeah,
story for
especially
story's
making
sake.
history.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
like this dude wrote it down. Like that, no one's gonna write like a scary story about. Well, I saw bear tracks. I'm just gonna. It was a goblin.
Right? I saw bear tracks,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna say Bigfoot. All right,
Yeah.
let me pull up the
Yeah.
internet because I want to talk to you about the Bigfoot Sasquatch attacks that have been known.
Okay.
Let me see if I can bring this up. Oh man, I drank an entire bottle of wine and now I just can't stop burping.
Dude, I feel you. I had to put my moonshine up because I gotta. You know, you gotta get yourself off at some point.
Hang on, you're breaking up a little. What'd you say?
I said you have to cut yourself off at some point. I drank way too much moonshine tonight.
Way too much. So much so I can talk about Bigfoot.
But it's interesting that you bring up Teddy Roosevelt, a person and a founder of national parks, which just so happens to be some of the biggest sites of conspiracy theories.
Hang on, I don't know if you're breaking up or if I zoned out, but what'd you say?
I was just saying it's funny that you bring up Teddy Roosevelt and the fact that he pretty much sanctioned, he's the father of national parks in the United States.
Yes,
of America.
you are right. You're absolutely right. Teddy Roosevelt was very. I mean, I don't know too much about his history, so if you got some conflict with him, I'm sorry. But he was basically the founder of preserving wildlife. That is true. He was very big in that because at an early age he had asthma, so he got really active, and part of that was being outside. So once he became like an authority figure, he wanted to preserve the parks.
Yeah, and it just so happens that there's so many conspiracies surrounding in the United States National Park.
Holy what? Okay, New South Wales of Australia. Apparently, there was a Bigfoot attack. That can't be right.
Oh,
There,
well, he can migrate too.
he can migrate overseas.
Yeah, man, he can hop in a boat.
I don't know about all that.
He's got a passport.
But it does look like because I'm not on the same website I looked up earlier, But the website I'm on now, if you want to look up yourself, is called liveabout.com. Okay? And the first one it says in 1902, and what is that? Chesterfield, Idaho. A group of people enjoying a winter's day skating were suddenly terrorized by a hairy monster carrying a wooden club. The witnesses said the creature stood about 8 feet tall. Later, 4-toed footprints were found that measured 22 inches long and 7 inches wide. Now that's interesting because I'm pretty sure a lot of Bigfoot talk has him having 5 toes. Is that correct? Like he has a human foot, but it's huge.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, if I'm wrong, say something in the comments. That's fine. But that kind of leads me to a theory I had earlier where people were like, does he sleep in trees? Which, no, I don't think he does if he is real. Simply because he's too big and he doesn't have the feet like apes do to climb trees. So that's interesting that this attack in Chesterfield, Idaho in 1902 says they had 4 toes.
I don't remember when it was recorded, but I believe it was in the 1800s. People found, this is a pretty big conspiracy, people found similar to the Bible story of David and Goliath, right?
Okay.
Where they talk about science, they talk about bigger people, right?
Yeah.
Now, you look at 2,000 years ago, like, what necessarily could be considered a giant? Well, let's face it, if someone's 8 feet tall, we might call them a giant, right?
No, you're absolutely right. Cause think about it. Even during the Depression, people were much shorter just because they were starving. You know. So even if you were 6'1" like you are, Jerry, you would have been a giant amongst everyone that was like 5'5" because they were malnourished.
Yeah, I mean, basically, like in the 1800s, they found bones, supposedly, bones of people in the and somewhat around the world, but I'm specifically referring to the United States here, of giants, right? Like
Yeah.
bones,
I think I know what you're
people.
talking about. And if I remember correctly, the Smithsonian Museum is like a big cover-up part of that, right? Like they come
Yeah,
through and just like, oh, this doesn't exist. We're gonna take it into where we go.
yeah, exactly. They took this and ran with it and just made it disappear. Suppose now this is where all the conspiracy don't die, but there's like circles, there's like documentation on it. Now, however, if you want to believe into it, but supposedly they're similar to the short people that we find on fucking islands, right? Like
Yeah. Like it was discovered not too long ago that there was a humanoid species during the evolution of man that were literally 3 feet tall.
Yeah. So it only goes without saying, hey, maybe we find big people too.
Yeah.
You know?
And actually, Jerry, it's pretty funny that you're a ginger because you kind of relate to this. But most giants are known for being gingers.
Yes.
You know,
I do think they usually have red hair.
they usually do. So that's very interesting to me. You know, I can kind of see it because like a lot of gingers I know are freakishly tall.
Yeah, I mean, it all goes back to, trying to wrap all the conspiracies in one here.
Right?
What is it? The Nordic race is from, like, Nern or whatever.
Wait,
Have
what'd
you
you
heard
say?
that one? Yeah, okay, so there's another conspiracy that goes into, that, I think it goes more into, there's the lizard people, and then there's, like, the Nordic people. And
Okay.
the Nordic people are a race of aliens from, like, Naboo or whatever. Here to cultivate the primate, whereas the lizard people were here to cultivate the dinosaurs, or evolutionary path. But that's how we get some sort of, like, race war against, like, the human primal mammal versus being bored versus
Okay, now this is interesting to me because I've never heard anything about this. And I like to think, just for fun, I dig into conspiracy theories to see what's going on. And you know, like the Sumerian race, there's
Yeah.
talk about them being lizard people, and then like they made humans from monkeys, and then they actually like
Right.
interbred a little bit, and that's what became like the big ginger people that ruled over the Nordic areas.
Yeah,
That's
that's cool too. Nephilim, I
yeah,
think
yeah,
it's
basically
called.
Nephilims, yeah.
Yeah.
But like they
Yeah.
the ones that were like half what were they called? I think I just said it, but I can't remember it now. But yeah. So when Sumerians were like going through their whole thing with the Akanaki, that's what they're called. When the
Yeah, the
Akanaki came down,
Akanaki.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Akanaki apparently like messed with our DNA, and apparently they interbred a little bit too. But there's talks about them being lizard people. There's talks about them just being winged figures. I don't know what they are. If they're lizard people, I don't think they interbred with humans at all, unless they got some crazy DNA technology. Um, but yeah, there was talk about them having a play in human evolution, and that like they set up the whole um, kings and kingdoms up in the Nordic areas before they just left, and that's what led us to where we are now in a way.
Yeah, they spun the ball. Um, spinning the top of human creation
Mm-hmm.
in conspiracy. Yeah, there's the one that I'm going over is somewhat related to. I believe his name is Balthor. Um, I think that. Forgive me if I'm butchering all of it because it's been a while since I've jumped on those conspiracies, right?
No, you're straight.
But his name's like Val Thor or something Thor or Thorin. But this dude supposedly showed up out of nowhere and he just got to see the president because he just like people follow his orders. Right? He just showed up in a hovercraft or a spacecraft
Okay.
and Nordic, right? And he just kind of like hung out with us for a little while.
Huh.
And speaking of, it's always interesting to see. Oh gosh, we're all over the place.
I
We're
know
all
we
over
are.
the
I
place
know we
today.
are.
This is just bonanza fucking scripted right now. But
Hang on, you broke up a little
apparently,
bit. Try again.
okay, this is a bonanza of conspiracy today. It's y'all's lucky day. There's also newspaper recordings in like Europe in like the maybe 1700s or so
Okay.
of it is said in this town that there was dancing lights in the sky and a strange object came down and people came up to it with like spears and shields and shit, right? Like,
Yeah.
and nothing. I can't really remember. Excuse me. Um, I think nothing really happened according to the townsfolk or the newspaper itself. Like people just went along their business. They were scared and there was dancing images in the sky, and then it just kind of left. It landed in the city and then left. And
Hmm.
that was documented newspaper articles. Like that shit happened in the Daily Mail for those people back then, and it survives to this day somehow or another.
Oh yeah, that'll be definitely a topic again too about like actual extraterrestrial documentations.
Yeah, I'll have to start writing this shit down.
Yeah. Right.
It, I love conspiracies, as you know, and it usually in one got the other, so it's kind of hard to keep track of all these little tidbits. But I want to say it was somewhere in Germany. I don't know if anyone wanted to really track it down. Most of my information comes from Reddit.
Reddit. You hear that, Reddit?
Yeah,
We're kind of relying on you for some info. So if you got it, you need to put that stuff up so we can talk about it.
yeah, for real. Do a little bit of legwork. We will too.
Yeah.
And,
You do the work and we'll talk about it.
no, man. I mean, we're all in it together. It's a conspiracy theory conundrum, right?
Right? If Bigfoot or aliens are real, we're gonna find them together. But yeah, I know a lot of what you're talking about. So the idea that going back to where we came from, that maybe Bigfoots are just giants, it doesn't it still doesn't sit well with me, simply for the fact that all accountable incidences that involve Bigfoot talk about it still being kind of primal, you know? And I imagine giants not being too primal. I imagine them still being quite human. Matter of fact, I imagine them being so big they're actually smarter than most humans. There's what was it? I watched Mystery History yesterday. Shout out to you guys. Y'all are pretty cool. Mystery History, they talked about the idea that maybe giants did coexist with dinosaurs. And maybe that's where a lot of our ancient whatever that we find around the world came from. Like the giant stones that we don't know how they got created. Maybe they were created by giants, you know? Like this giant stone archways too. Maybe they were created by giants. And maybe they did live alongside dinosaurs, and just like dinosaurs devolved to be smaller to best fit our planet, so did giants.
Yeah, some would say it's running back along the muscles, but essentially, like, there was more.
Hang on, you're breaking up just a little bit. Hang on, Jay. Let's do this. We're gonna take a quick break because I gotta go pee. So if you do, go ahead, and we'll be right back. Okay?
Alright, sounds good.
All right. Let's see if I even was recording. All right. Well, everyone, we are back from our restroom break, and we are gonna talk more about Bigfoot. Jerry, how you feeling right now?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm
Awesome. Okay, so once again, what is your actual belief on Bigfoot? What do you think?
My actual belief on Bigfoot
Yeah.
is
Because I've made it pretty clear that I don't believe in him, and if he does exist, he's in a dimension we can't even reach yet. So for the most part, I just don't believe him. At least in the North America settings, I don't.
I haven't met him yet.
Haven't met him yet.
He hasn't delivered me any really pie, you know, apple pie, blueberry pie, you know, anything a neighbor would.
You're right. We're Southern boys, so we expect if we're gonna meet you, you're gonna bring us a pie.
Yeah, he should definitely meet and greet, like, as neighbors. He should.
I make y'all some apple pie. Hope you don't mind. It has a little cinnamon on top of it with a nice icing. How about we get started on this podcast? Well, thanks, Sasquatch. Come on in.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I don't think. Look, I would have dogs at that point. I don't give a shit if that dude sheds everywhere. He doesn't have to be so shy.
Right.
Out there in the woods.
Hey, Bigfoot, if you're listening, I want you on my podcast. We will get all this straightened out. We'll talk about where you live, why you don't want to be interacted with. We'll get it all straightened out, okay? If you're listening.
As far as Sasquatch, I want to believe. But
Okay, you want to believe. I can understand that. I really can.
I put the stamp down and it says denied. Alright? Like,
I mean, once again, I fall back on the idea that, like, if we can find so much evidence of prehistoric life, where's Bigfoot?
Well, maybe it's the giants that we were talking about earlier.
I mean, yes, there's giants,
And
okay?
it's a cover-up, right? It's a cover-up by the Catholic Church.
But here's the thing, Jerry. We have so much technology today. How is there not a drone flying in the great woods up north finding Bigfoot? We have infrared. We have night vision. We could literally bomb the fuck out of those woods and find Bigfoot.
Well, I hate to be that guy, but I think it's mostly the poor people that are inclined to because
No, I understand. Rich people aren't wasting their time with Bigfoot.
but poor people out there, which you and I are the same. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
We need to invest in drones. Okay, people, whenever you go to these fucking Sasquatch big festivals, all of us, we need to come together as one. And
Yeah.
we need to each
Every
bring a
Bigfoot believer
drone.
needs to rush into the woods right now and just tear up everything. Leave no stone unturned.
Yeah, it's just like the people trying to storm Area 51. You know, we bring drones, and we just run, and we gun.
Real quick, did you catch the Joe Rogan podcast with Bob Lazar?
No, I haven't. I'm pretty selective nowadays over the JRE, but
No, that's fine. If you get a chance, that's a podcast you need to watch because it's gonna make you question some things.
oh,
Yes. Joe Rogan with Bob Lazar. He was the guy that came out about Area 51 in general.
Oh,
Yeah, dude.
Really?
Like, you know, I'm a skeptic. I try to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, but you know, I want to say when I talk to people, I have a okay bullshit meter, as like they say on Joe Rogan. You know, and when I was listening to Bob Lazar, I was just like, wow, either he's been telling this story so long he believes it, or it is fucking real. I mean, I'm not saying it's aliens. It's possible that like it was a craft from another country that he was working on and shit. But I believe that he believes what he saw.
yeah, I believe.
So,
Excuse me. Completely understand. Bob Lazar. Okay, I'll have to look that one up.
that'll be a fun one too because I think our next podcast should be all the missing people that go into the national parks.
Dude,
Let's not get too deep into it now, but I think for our next podcast, we should definitely do some research.
Duncan Trussell is one of he's always my favorite.
Okay. I think I know who exactly you're talking about too.
Dude, their latest podcast.
Jerry, you're breaking up right now, so no one can hear you.
No.
Yep.
They don't want me talking about it.
Real quick, everyone, the best thing you can do is watch our video and spread it, so that way we can get more funding to get a better podcast just for you.
Spreading the message, man.
Right? They're trying to suppress our message. They're trying to keep us back from giving y'all the truth.
Yeah, the fact that I was just saying
See, look, they're trying to block him out now. They're trying to block Jerry out. They're trying to block out my friend so you can't hear what's happening.
damn it.
It's not the fact that he lives in a tin building with bad reception in the middle of the woods of nowhere.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter at all.
It sucks to be poor.
I know. Help us not be poor so we can give you better content. So yes, our next podcast will be about more Alien / The Missing 411. If you haven't caught up on that, you should watch it so that way you can be caught up with us when we talk about it next week. Because I think I'm going to do my podcast weekly so we have enough time to recharge and come back with new content. Until we get more familiar with this format, if you will. Okay, so
Sounds great.
right? Okay, so back on the topic of Bigfoot. Okay, so you want to believe? I understand that. So let me talk about this for a second. These Bigfoot attacks that apparently I have pulled up on my TV. Excuse me. Now, a popular theory is that the reason Bigfoot is attacking some people is the idea that there's another bipedal entity in its territory. I can believe that, you know, because it is an animal-like creature. So I can believe that because you're also on two legs, it's like, fuck you, you're in my area, get out.
Yeah, I could see that.
Okay, so
I mean, with it being an animal and such. Yeah.
okay, so real quick, I'm going to read the 1912 Australia Bigfoot attack. I don't think Bigfoot's in Australia. I think it's too fucking hot for an hairy creature. But we'll see what this has to say. A survivor named Charles Harper was camping with several colleagues on Mountain. I'm not pronouncing that. It's Billy. It's Billy Mountain. That's just wow. One evening, as the men sat sound there, what? I can't fucking read. It's part of my literacy. I'm gonna get a computer to do this one day. One evening, as the men sat sound their campfire, I'm pretty sure they meant to say around, so that might just be a typo. They became increasing. They became increasingly unnerved by the strange sounds they heard coming from the woods. They help. What the fuck are they? Who typed this? They help ally their fears. Ally? Allay. What the fuck is that word?
Allay.
Allay?
Allay.
They help allay their fears. Maybe it's an Australian slang. They piled more wood on their fire. The increased light revealed something unexpected had invaded their camp. A huge man-like animal stood erect, not 20 yards from the fire, growling. Harper Laird told newspapers and because it's quoted, so it might sound weird. Told newspapers, quote, and thumping his breast, with his huge hand-like paws. Harper estimated that the creature stood about 5'8" to 5'10" tall. What? That's a human being at your campsite. You have a homeless man at your campsite. I am skipping this Australia story because they were invaded by a homeless man.
1912 was a war-torn time. You never fucking know.
He had a grocery cart full of cans and he was super hairy and dirty, just roaring at us.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do the 1924 Ape Canyon. And
Hey,
Mount.
Real quick.
Yeah.
You know, Australia's got like Aborigines, right? It was real interesting following up that story to be able to communicate with them and see what they have to say.
Hang on, you're breaking a little bit more. Jerry, you're breaking up. So let's repeat this. Go a little slower just in case your connection's still bad. Australia.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. About the Aborigines that live in Australia.
Uh-huh.
It would be interesting to dive into their folklore and their myths and legends.
Yes, that would be fun.
About any sort of like hairy big men, you know, like not fetishes or anything, but
Yeah. I mean, that I kind of dived in a little bit of that, but mainly Northern American, Native Americans, to see what they had to say. But like I told you in the beginning of the podcast, it really felt like just boogeyman stories, you know?
yeah, exactly. I feel you.
Real quick, let me tell you about a story, and if you're listening to this, please comment down below where the hell this story comes from, because I can't remember for the life of me. But I remember being in middle school, and I had a teacher read this to us in class, and this is how the story goes. It's going to be Cliff Notes, but if you know, like I said, please comment and let me know where this comes from. But there was a Native American that got, I guess, lost one day, and he came across a female Bigfoot, right? And like because she was so big overpowering, he basically became her bitch. Right? And he just couldn't leave. I want to say he was there for a long time, long enough for them to have a kid together. Yeah, take that in, Jerry. A Native American was taken by a Bigfoot and was forced to have a child with her.
I could be taken in a marriage like that.
Yeah. You know, there's nothing wrong with strong, overpowering women. I can kind of get behind that. But anyways,
I'll do the dishes.
I'll do the dishes.
Okay.
But we're talking Native American culture, so apparently they were like living in this cave, and they had a kid, and the kid was a hybrid, and this is where the story gets weird, and it kind of scarred me as a kid, because I still think about it occasionally. But he had an opportunity to run away, so he did. So I guess after 9 months of being with Bigfoot, he finally ran away, and he got his canoe and started paddling out to get the hell out of there. And the female Bigfoot that was with him saw this, and she ran to the water carrying their baby, right? And she was like frantic, trying to get him to come back. And when she realized he wouldn't, She tore the baby in half and threw the human side at him.
What?
Yeah. I can't remember too much more about this story, but that is what I remember. And that shit was like, what? I'm in like 6th grade and you just read this to me?
Dude, I don't know why that sounds so familiar.
Doesn't it? I mean, Jerry, we went to the same school, so I wouldn't be surprised if you heard it too. But yeah, that's
Holy shit. That's
yeah,
crazy.
that is. I don't know if it's urban legend or if it's just one of those scary stories they put in books. But yeah, that's a story that really stuck with me about Bigfoot. So if you know it, like I said, comment below because I would love to find out where that came from. But yeah, that was a crazy story I heard. But yeah, eventually we'll dive deeper into Bigfoot once we get more info. I just wanted to talk about him real quick for this podcast. Let's see.
Nah, you just want to be one of those, what they call gatekeepers. Yeah,
Gatekeeper of what?
the Sasquatch.
The Sasquatch.
Information, man. Yeah.
Dude, that's one. I do not want to be known as a Sasquatch man. Oh my god. My channel is about entertainment and the occasional, probably everyday Magic the Gathering video. I am not Sasquatch. I'm not the Sasquatch man. Despite what Ian says. Okay, so let me read off another Bigfoot incident that took place in 1924 in the Ape Canyon. So that's a little weird already. That's called Ape Canyon. Maybe it has a lot of sightings of Bigfoot-like entities, and that's why it's called that. But it takes place in Mount St. Helens in Washington. Sorry for butchering that. Fred Beck and several other prospectors, wow, this must be old, 1924, they're prospectors, were puzzled by a very large footprint they found in the canyon until they encountered the beast that made them. They saw a large ape-like creature peering from behind a tree, watching them. Real quick, isn't that always the fucking case? It's behind something? Like, Bigfoot's always hiding. Even in that documentary, once again, Todd Standing, I'm going to call you out on bullshit. Whether it's true or not, I just can't believe it. He had video evidence. Like, remember me talking about him getting hit with a log? In that same scene, he's like videotaping a Bigfoot. And seriously, all you see is in between these trees is like a mass of something. You can't see muscle definition. You can't see really fur. You can't even see a face, okay? Because like realistically, if it was a man standing there that was 8 feet tall, it'd be as if you were just seeing his pecs and his nipples, okay? But you couldn't even see his nipples. It was just like a board was there, okay?
Yeah,
and then
they zoomed in with a fucking camera and didn't focus it, right?
yeah, that's the Bigfoot's secret ability is to stay out of focus on camera and know exactly where it is so he can never be caught on it.
That's it.
But no joke, after he got hit with that pathetically thrown log, he collapsed. Then he got up after they ran off to go show the camera how tall this creature was, okay? And once again, the creature didn't move. And I'm pretty sure if it is Bigfoot, it doesn't give a fuck about you. It's going to ruin your day, especially if there's 3 of them around you. Okay, they're not going to hit you with a log and run off. Unless they really are that fucking peaceful, which I don't believe. Because
we're talking about modern day Wookiees.
Yeah, you seriously are. Like, if it's really an animal, sorry, Jared, not interrupt you, but if it's really an animal living in the woods, it's not gonna run away from you. It's going to kill you, okay? Because you're in its area, you're on its turf. It's gonna kill you and possibly even eat you. It's not just gonna throw a log at you and run away, okay? I can't imagine being in the, I don't know where the fuck gorillas are from. I was gonna say Amazon rainforest. I don't know where gorillas are. But I can't imagine being anywhere where gorillas are and it just be like, fuck you, dude, now I'm running off. No, it's gonna fucking maim me, okay? It's gonna rip off pieces of me, and I will not be a well put together human specimen that I am now.
Yeah, well, what about
black.
Bears
Okay.
in the wild.
Black bears are a different story. Now, I will say in the camera footage that Todd Standing had in the Discovering Bigfoot, it was no bear. It looked a little bit more pale than a bear, not as much fur. If there was any, like I said, it's hard to tell because it's also snowy out. So it looked more like just a white yeti out there. But yeah, bears are a thing. Actually, most Bigfoot sightings, I believe, are misinterpreted for bears standing on their hind legs. Because it's very common for them to hurt like a paw and then walk around for a little bit on their back legs until it heals.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, scary.
Yeah, that's scary for sure. Because bears already are tall as fuck.
Maybe not so scary if it's a brown bear. Dude, if I have to meet any sort of brown bear, I'm going to hope that it's hurt already, right? Like, I need every edge possible.
Real quick, if you are listening to this, sorry, Jerry, I keep interrupting you. I think it's just getting too late. But if you are being attacked by a bear and you're running away from it, drop an article of clothing. I can't remember where I heard this from, but if you drop an article, it was Reddit. If you drop an article of clothing, it will the bear will be more enticed with that for the second, to give you a little bit more time to run away. Only because like your scent's still on it and everything. So like if you're running in the woods, like drop your hat or something, and maybe the bear will be distracted by that long enough for you to live for like 20 seconds longer.
I've heard conflicting reports. It depends on where you're at. Like
Yeah.
if you're in a wooded area, right, you might be able to bob and weave through trees fast enough.
I don't know, dude. You're still in that bear's element. You would have to go through like some small trees.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're facing a grizzly bear, you're pretty much fucked.
Real quick,
right?
Jerry, grizzly bear or polar bear, which one would you rather go against?
Grizzly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, that's good. I'm pretty sure polar bears are bigger, but I just don't know which one. I think I would rather go against a grizzly too. Because it sounds better too. If you're killed by a grizzly, that sounds badass. Like, dude, he was killed by a grizzly bear. If you're killed by a Coca-Cola polar bear, no one's gonna think you're hard.
I first the rhyme, and I think it'd be in the comments, but it goes something along the lines of like, if it's black,
Yep, you already ruined it.
black, stand your ground. If it's brown, lay down. If it's white, kiss your ass goodbye, or something like that.
Okay.
You know, like, yeah, I mean that's essentially like, look, if you're up against a black bear, you fucking yell at it and you make some noise, and they're usually skittish somewhat, and you can scare them off. Make yourself look bigger. If you have a backpack on, you put it over your head. You know, like you flip it up, right, and make yourself look bigger.
Yeah, that's a big tactic too. Is like make yourself look bigger too, so hopefully it just runs away. But if it's a mama bear, you're fucked regardless. It's coming to get you out of there.
Oh, especially a grizzly. Yeah, if it's a grizzly, basically your only fucking behavior is, first of all, you better be fucking packing bear mace if you're a dumbass in grizzly fucking country. For a second that you heard anything about a brown bear in that area for the past 100 years, you better be packing something or another.
Oh yeah. First off, don't go in the woods without some sort of protection. You're just asking to be a prey.
I mean, it's a scary thing out there. Yeah, exactly. It's nature.
It is nature. Nature is metal.
Yeah, that's their world.
Real quick, because we're talking about bears, there was once again, bring up Joe Rogan. Love that guy. He had a guest on his show a while back, and they were talking about like wild animal encounters. I can't remember the guest, so forgive me. But they had an incident where a bear charged their camp, right? So like we're talking like maybe 5 to 6 people, and they were all like doing everything they could to like prepare for this bear charging them. And throughout the commotion, one of the friends got hit by the bear and fell on the back of the bear as the bear decided to run away.
Yeah, I
Like,
believe that was with Cameron Hayes.
yeah? Do you remember that one?
Yeah,
That
I
is.
do.
Could you imagine being carried off by a wild fucking bear and your friends are like shouting at you like, no!
Dude,
And here's this
I
bear
thought
just
about
galloping away and you're on the back and you're like, oh my god, if I let go, is it gonna turn around and kill me?
Yeah, I literally thought about that in that specific podcast, that specific scene during this
Yeah? That's awesome.
episode earlier. Yeah, seriously, no shit. I thought about that. I don't remember what we were going over necessarily, but like something about the wild, I guess. Probably the Teddy Roosevelt bit.
Probably,
But,
yeah.
Yeah, man. I do believe it's the Cameron Hayes one, and yeah, dude, that's a hard knock life.
It's a hard knock life. I mean,
Yeah, straight up, dude. Like, I could not imagine. Wasn't it? It was something along the lines of like they wounded a deer and they didn't go for it, or they did end up going for it.
I can't. It's
Something
been a
like
long
that.
time. It's been a minute since I've
Yeah.
listened to that podcast, particularly. But just the thought still rings with me. The idea of being carried off by a bear, like not even
Yeah.
like in a ferocious way. Like you fell onto its back and now it's running away.
And you're just holding on by the tuft of its hair, you know, and you don't want to let go, like you said, because you fear that once you let go, that bitch is gonna turn around.
Yeah, that's a real fear. Like if I let go, if I stay on, I'm gonna die for sure. But if I let go, I'm probably gonna die.
Dude, I would just try, like, I know it's the heat of the moment, but I would hope to have like some sort of knife handy. I would
Yeah, just be on the back of the
down
bear
that
and like
bitch.
try to stab it in his spine somewhere or something.
You know,
Hoping your knife doesn't break.
It's throat, dude. I'd be going fucking jugular, man. Just,
We never saw Jerry again. 10 months later, he's king of the woods, riding bears.
yeah, man. I would be holding on to that bitch's, just like riding a bitch, you know, or sorry, that beautiful hose that may be. In life. You know, you
Yeah,
grab
Jerry, it's
them
2019. We have to respect women now, so watch what you say.
Yeah. Well, you know, they all like it like that. You grab them by the tufts of their fucking hair.
Yeah, bears and women like that.
Yeah.
Actually, there's not much difference between the two.
Right.
And I say that with love. All women and bears are beautiful.
And a savage name.
Are you talking right now? Because if so, you're breaking up hard. I think.
Am.
Okay. I was about to say, Jerry, I think you just got attacked by a bear.
No, I went for more of my giggle water.
Okay. Yeah, I'm drinking water too. Gotta stay hydrated when you drink, everybody. Drink water.
And
Agua.
drink more.
Yeah, you can't drink enough water. If you drink a lot of soda, I'm telling you right now, as a previous Dr. Pepper addict, you need to drink water, especially once you hit your 30s. Your body's gonna start falling apart, and you won't be able to ride bears.
Oh, no, I'm saying like drink alcohol and drink more alcohol.
Oh, that's what you're saying. Just drink more alcohol. Okay. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, go right ahead. Enjoy your time, you know. Hopefully you're not in the wild. Respect the wilderness, because it will not respect you.
Well, I've tried. She doesn't want to be respected.
Oh my,
you know?
Jerry, we gotta take another camping trip. That would be amazing. No axe.
Better than we need that. First of all.
No, we're not taking an axe. We're going to have just as much fun as we did last time. No axe.
Yeah, well, my little brother's not so little anymore. Dude, he's hit puberty. It's crazy.
For context, everyone, there was a period in time me and Jerry went camping. Oh, dude, that was like 10 years ago, wasn't it?
More like 12 or 14, dude.
we went camping, and Jerry's parents drove us out there, and his little brothers too, and we had a fun fucking time. And the thing was, his parents left for a moment, so our job was to gather firewood. The problem was we didn't have an axe of any sort to actually get decent wood. So, like, there weren't even sticks. You had logs and pathetic little sticks that were like 3 inches long, okay? So, just for a quick story, we gathered logs and tried breaking them against trees to make smaller logs, and it didn't go well. And at the time, Jerry's brothers weren't even, like, in their teenage years. They were, like, not even 10. They were, like, 9 and 6 at the youngest, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And we just had a crazy blast. I don't want to get too deep into the story. We'll save it for another time. Maybe when we do go camping again. But that was a crazy adventure we'll talk about again for sure. Well, let's stay on track with Bigfoot.
We need a camping trip, dude.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe our technology will be better. We could even podcast that camping trip a little bit.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
About thing.
That would be... Man, we went fucking fishing with spears.
Yeah, we did. We didn't get shit.
We were true nomads. If anyone was gonna find Bigfoot, it was us two motherfuckers.
And then we broke some, we went on those biking trails.
Dude, oh, I forgot about that. Oh my, those biking trails.
With bikes suited towards, like, city life, right? Like,
wait, say that again,
our bicycles were built like sidewalks.
Yeah, the bicycles we had were like the typical 1920 bikes that you would see like prissy white people riding around in the neighborhood.
It was not meant for
These were not mountain bikes. These were not BMX bikes. These were typical old school bikes with like white rimmed wheels. White walled, that's what it's called. White walled wheels.
Yeah.
And we went down some stupid paths. Jerry, I don't know how we didn't die. Cause like I remember there was moments where like it was a steep hill we were riding on and riding down to. And like we were bouncing off roots, we were bouncing off rocks, and we lived.
Almost running into other bikers.
that did happen.
We only had like 2 feet worth of like a biking sand.
Yes, there was no room. One mistake, you would have hit a tree and died.
Dude, it was good.
It was great.
I need to find out where that place was. Actually.
You know what? That would be fun. Find out where that place was, and let's try to get the same spot with the same tree that broke my knife.
Okay. You work on for our mutual friend. Get some fun stuff for us.
Okay, I got you. We'll have a fun time going camping, and it will be on the podcast. And well, if there's scenes that are cut out, you know why.
Yeah, a very colorful time indeed.
Okay, so let's go ahead and wrap up this podcast a little bit. Let's talk a little bit more about Bigfoot and these attacks, and then we'll call it a night. Okay, so let's end the conversation with the 1924 Ape Canyon. Excuse me. So the prospectors were puzzled. They saw something. Where was I? They saw a large ape-like creature peering from behind a tree. Well, and that's where I stopped because I talked about how Bigfoot's always hiding behind something. One of the miners leveled his rifle at the creature, shot, and possibly grazed it in the head. It ran off out of sight. Later, another creature was seen by Beck. I don't know who Beck is. Oh, Fred Beck. Okay, and several others. As it stood on the edge of the canyon wall, Beck shot it in the back and fell... I can't read. Fuck me and my illiteracy. Fell into the canyon. These acts of violence by the humans was not to go unavenged by the Sasquatch. Okay, so maybe it is a vengeful creature if it exists. That night, the miner's cabin was attacked by at least 2 of the primates. For 5 hours, they pounded on the doors and walls and hurled rocks into the roof in an attempt to break in. Fortunately, the windowless cabin, built to withstand harsh winters, kept the Sasquatches from entering. As dawn approached, the creatures abandoned their assault. When the miners finally ventured outside, they found numerous Bigfoot prints all around the cabin and a strip of wood gouged out from between two logs. There is some evidence that this attack may have been hoaxed, while others contended that it is true. Okay, so that brings me to a theory that if Bigfoot is real, it's nocturnal and lives deep in caves that we haven't found, and that's the only reason we haven't found it. Because there's even talk about Bigfoots burying their loved ones, and that's why we never find bodies. But for a creature so sophisticated to bury its loved ones, I'm surprised it couldn't get into a cabin.
Yeah, that would be an issue, especially when. Okay, so maybe he's territorial. That's why he's attacking the cabin.
Yeah. I can kind of get that. Maybe it is a super peaceful creature, but once we act out against it, it's all like, oh, fuck no, son.
It is odd that he couldn't break through a single wooden cabin.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. There's only one door in that cabin. Okay, maybe it was too dumb to find the door. But if it attacked for 5 hours, I don't believe that. Oh wow, I got 2 attacks in British Columbia, 4 years apart. You want to hear them?
Yeah, British Columbia. Oh, okay.
Vancouver specifically. Both of these took place in Vancouver, so I'll try to go over them pretty quickly.
Man, all of Canada is the same to me.
You're not wrong. Maybe after our reunited camping trip, we'll take another camping trip to Canada to see if we can find Bigfoot, and we're gonna take guns.
I would love the Canadians that welcome us with outspread arms.
More than likely, we're gonna be attacked by drunk moose and angry bears.
Dude, I've heard the elk are like pretty fucking serious.
Yeah, the elk are serious. Like, you're scared of Bigfoot? No, you need to be scared of the elk and the moose. I think they're the same thing. I don't know. You need to be scared of those up there.
I consider them
fucking
wrong,
caribou for all I care.
Yeah, right. We'll get the big 8-foot. They are 8 foot, up to 8 foot.
Yeah, they're tall.
Right?
They are tall.
Like from Lord of the Rings, fucking elves need to be riding them.
Yes, you're 100% right.
Land.
This is what real spiritual nature woodsland creatures ride. They ride moose because they are like the tallest hooved animal out there. Okay,
and
so
it only makes sense to make them a 3/3 swinging green creature.
You're absolutely right. A little Magic the Gathering reference. 3/3 swinging. Got trample.
Yes, with the buff for elves in play.
And if you're questioning my me talking about moose and elk being drunk, they are. They eat fermented fruit for fun, and then they just get blitzed and they fuck shit up. So, 1924, Vancouver, British Columbia. Albert Otzman is one of the few people who claim to have been abducted by Sasquatch. So now we have an abducted story. This is interesting. It happened while he was searching for his lost gold mine that he heard existed for a lost gold mine that he heard existed somewhere near Toba Inlet. He had heard from an Indian guide about a legendary Sasquatch, but didn't take them seriously until he discovered that something was stealing food from his campsite at night. Then one night, he was awakened by something picking him up in his sleeping bag. That is scary.
Yeah.
Like, even if Bigfoot isn't real, this is a scary story. Like, imagine you're in your tent, you're sleeping, and next thing you know, you're being picked up over something's shoulder. First off, if you're a full-grown man, that's scary.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because, like, now you're just a little bitch. Something's manhandling you. Yeah, just gonna pick this up and take it with me. Okay. Where was I? Okay. in his sleeping bag. Quote, I was half asleep and at first did not remember where I was, Otzman said. Quote, my first thought was I must be in a snowslide. Okay, that's interesting. This guy seems like he has a little bit of a head on his shoulders, I suppose. Then I felt like I was tossed on horseback, but I could feel whoever it was walking. End quote. After hours of being carried, Otzman was finally dropped on the ground where he heard a strange sound chatter. Okay. It wasn't until dawn, however, that Otzman made his way out of his sleeping bag. He was astonished to find himself in the company of 4 Sasquatch. What appeared to Otzman to be a family, adult male and female, and a young male and female. Okay, apparently you can see their sexes, which is a little alarming to me. Real quick, Jerry.
Maybe less hair around the nipples, right?
Yeah, I can see that, you know, but a part of me wonders how he knew what the males were.
Well, yeah, if they got the swinging dong.
Right? I do not want to imagine what a swinging Sasquatch dong looks like.
At 8 feet tall, it's probably gonna be somewhere close to your face, right?
Oh yeah, that's definitely gonna be close to your face.
Yeah, it's just there. You can't ignore it, but it's like a train wreck.
But you know, maybe like a gorilla, it's not very big for protective reasons, you know? Okay, let's see. Where was I? After hours, sleeping bag.
Or maybe it's the size of the creatures themselves. Their demeanor. Or the skirts that they wear.
It's a skirt. I would not want to be taken advantage of by a Bigfoot. You know, like, just imagine an 8-foot hairy ass man with complete power taking control of you.
Yeah.
Worst camping trip ever.
Yeah, I'll be escaping that real quick.
He's about to see the barrel of my gun. So where were we? Assange, Sasquatch family. He was able to provide detailed descriptions of the creatures, all of which, except for the young female, was enormous. Osman claimed to have spent 6 days in the company of the Sasquatch family. When he decided he had enough, he fired his rifle in the air and made a run for it. First off, fuck no. 6 days? I'm hungry as a motherfucker. That's just...
Second, he had his rifle the whole goddamn time.
Real quick, he had his... I mean, don't get me wrong, that's smart. Sleep with your gun if you're in the wild. But like, 6 days... He spent 6 days with them? Did they feed him? Did they nourish him? You know... At what point was it where he was like, oh no, I'm fucking done with this shit?
I'm guessing they would have had to, but I would imagine after 3 days, that's when I call my limit. Like, first day, waking up, I'm curious.
Yeah, I can spend a day with them out of curiosity.
I'm gathering notes. I'm learning what's going on in here. Third day,
becoming one with the Sasquatch.
Yeah, I'm out, man. Like, no, I'm gone.
But no, I agree. After day 3, I'm out. And I mean, unless they're feeding me, maybe it's nice. But I imagine if he already thought he was being carried away in like a snow avalanche, it has to be cold out there. So like, where was he? You know, like for just having a sleeping bag in the element.
Maybe he was in one of those caves or something.
Maybe. Once again, it goes back to the theory that Sasquatch live deep in caves. But, like, they have to be deep in caves, because caves get explored. That's just it happens, okay? And if you're exploring a cave, I don't think you're going to go 10 feet in and find Sasquatch. So,
I don't know, man. I've watched that movie, The Descent. And, yeah, it had some scary shit to tell me about. Kentucky's Cave.
Oh my god. There's a movie, I think it's called The Great Wilderness, and it's about a guy doing a documentary on finding Bigfoot. And like,
Yeah.
do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Where like they find Bigfoot and they fucking load him full of lead.
And they put a suicide note on him.
They do. I mean, didn't it sound like he came out here and was more like a, huh? No, I'm pretty sure he was like, rah!
I just love the, even to this day, the shark. It goes,
Oh my god. Look at this goofy motherfucker. Yes.
That movie was something else. It was ahead of its time.
It really was. If you have made it this far on the podcast, you owe it to yourself to go watch that movie, The Great Wilderness. I can't remember exactly everyone that's in it, but they're great. They're hilarious, and it's worth watching. Wasn't there a fucking guy that like sewed his own nutsack back up?
Oh my god, something like that.
This movie was too funny. You owe it to yourself to watch it. It's old. It came back forever.
Ooh, that was like
That part made the entire movie. That part alone is the reason I watched it. And that was before I even did drugs.
Yeah, those were sober times.
Those were sober times. Oh
I
man.
made it that far.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
such a good movie. It's funny.
What was it
It's
called?
stupid funny. I think it was called The Great Wilderness. I could be wrong. If you know what movie I'm talking about, please comment below because everyone needs to see this movie. I mean, I'm pretty sure when he came out of the cave, he wasn't. He was more like a huh, like curious. Oh no! I'm pretty sure he came out mad, like a roar. And then they fucking make it look like suicide. Like Bigfoot killed himself.
Didn't someone come along and say like, what the fuck? Why did Sasquatch hang himself with a note? Why is it was essentially of our time. It was before Harold and Kumar got a
It was before Harold and Kumar. It was before Hot
Yeah.
Rod. This was the movie that set way for like corny
Yeah.
slapstick comedy.
It was there though. It truly is the same thing. Like you gotta watch it.
Yes. Oh. What is this goofy ass shark?
So good.
I'm dying.
It's so stupid, but it's so good.
Oh my god. Okay. You know what? I think that's enough for tonight. That's how we're gonna end the podcast. You need to go see that movie with Bigfoot. I'm not talking about the ones we mentioned earlier. I'm talking about The Great Wilderness. Oh man.
Real deal Sasquatch experience that everyone needs in their life, whether you're a Sasquatch, Bigfoot believer or not. That's where it all needs to start and end.
Did you paint eyeballs on your eyelids? Oh yeah, so that way like when I'm sleeping, it doesn't look like I'm asleep. It's a great movie.
Oh, I might actually go watch it here soon.
Me too. The next moment I get where I can really enjoy myself, I'm gonna watch that movie. Cause you know what? I've only watched that movie sober because I was still a minor when it came out. So that was over 10 years ago for sure. Wow. Well, Jerry, this was a lot of fun. I'm sure we'll have another podcast eventually where a lot of people ridicule us about our Sasquatch knowledge, and we'll do a better podcast later.
Of course.
Of
It's
course.
all just a crucible.
Yeah, it's a crucible.
Tempering of steel.
Forged by fire.
That's right.
So, Jerry, thank you so much for being on here with me tonight. I'm sure you'll be my guest next time. Hopefully, I'll get Ian or someone else on here with us too to help elaborate the conversation a bit more, maybe a few more laughs.
Well, we can only hope.
We can
But
hope.
That big dad, well, he needs more than Jesus.
Right? Man, motherfucker called me Bigfoot.
He did. That's actually what's pretty funny for him.
That y'all don't know Ian, but that is truly hilarious for Ian. That's probably that's the biggest roast he ever gave me.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty
I
good.
wouldn't be surprised. I gotta hear his side on it.
Right? He'll be like, man, I was at work and Ethan, he just fucking hit me up one day. I was all like, hey, what do you know about Bigfoot? I ain't talked to that bitch in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I want to know if he had help in it because.
No, I'm pretty sure he was at work unless he had the day off.
You never know.
Yeah, you're right.
But alas.
Well,
Until next time.
until next time. That's the end of the podcast. Thank you for joining us. Jerry, thank you for being here. Can't wait for next time. Please like, subscribe to Bonus Damage. Jerry, you got anything you want to say before we head out?
You drink more. Have fun.
Yeah.
We're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time.
You know what? Those are actually really good words. We're not here for a good time. Oh, no, wait. We're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you have a great rest of whatever you're doing. Take care and see you next time.